Hey guys, it's Rush. Hope we're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. We'll talk about that still in a second. So I'm making content today. I don't know if you knew, but I'm making content today, and the content I'm making is off the back of someone's content. So I'm going to use their content to make my content, to make new content. So I wasn't at Capcom Cup of this earlier this year, if you didn't know, but Broski was, and Broski made a video where he spoke to various players at Capcom Cup, asking them about what they would like to change in Season 3. Now, the reason why this very unflattering picture of me is on the screen is because it was an amazing still. I just hit pause, it stopped there. I thought it'd be quite hilarious, so yeah, that's funny. So I did a video on changes to the drive system. Raw drive rush, I mentioned about how much bar it uses, maybe it should use more. I said about the screen freeze, it's very annoying how it eats inputs. Drive impact, I remember saying if you were to tweak it, make it a bit slower. Perhaps the 3 hits on drive impact to break it is too excessive. Maybe make it 2 hits to break, the armor break on it. These are suggestions that I made. Drive reversal, I think that's a slow startup, so it's far too slow. Drive parry, what did I say about drive parry? Strike, perfect parry, no. Okay, interesting one. So strike, perfect parry, no freeze. Man, I made some good suggestions. So now let's go to Broski's video. So Broski's video, what I plan to do in this video is I will make a note of the changes in Season 3. So the question is, what changes would you like to see in Season 3? Let's make a note of all the changes that are suggested from the pro players, and let's discuss them, and I'll refer back to my video to sort of see any potential overlap or correlation between the two. That makes sense? Hope that makes sense. Let's see what they have to say.
And what would you like to see changed about the game in Season 3?
I would like for Capcom to remove throw loops. They removed it.
Throw loops is the first one on the list. No surprise there, if I'm honest. So let's put number 1. Hopefully you can see this. You can. That's nice and clear. Throw loops. We'll do a tally as well. So let's do a line underneath there for 1. Throw loops from Knuckle Do.
In Street Fighter 5 after a year or 2 of suffering, so I don't know why they wanted to put us through that again, but we'll take it out third season. That's cool.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all that Knuckle Do said. So interesting, he pointed out that they were removed in Street Fighter 5. Now, there were, I think it was Season 2, Season 3, where we saw the throw loops. So they were added, then removed. But I do wonder if the reason why they exist in Street Fighter 6, and it is mentioned later on in this video, is because of parry. So you have, parry was not in Street Fighter 5. So having a mechanic that's so strong against strike, obviously the perfect parry, the risk of perfect parry, the inclusion of throw loops weakens parry, and I never came to this conclusion until I watched this video and thought about it a bit more. So maybe that's why Capcom don't want to remove throw loops. I'm not saying I don't want them removed, but I'm just thinking about the pros and cons, not the pros and cons. I'm thinking of like the two sides of the coin. You know what I mean? So let's see what JB has to say.
What would you like to see changed about this game going into Season 3?
Oh, I see.
And there's quite a few here.
Well, not one thing, but some changes I would like to see in Season 3 would be less damage, especially from level 3s.
Interesting. I'm going to try and write a bit smaller here. I can already see I'm going to run out of space, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
I think a lot of matches go down to the last round, whereas first and second round don't really matter. It's all about last round, and it's like whoever uses the level 3 first.
Very true. So I noticed this when I play Street Fighter 6. What will happen is the last round, what people will do is, I'm not saying good players, I don't do it, is they'll have level 3 stocked, and they'll do an immediate drive rush, round start drive rush into an attack into drive rush cancel. That's 4 bars they've spent. And if they gain the corner or a hit, they'll spend level 3. So not only does it put you in the corner, they rebuild that bar. So really that's only cost them 2 bars. So you could argue and say that, okay, they've done that, but they spent or a lot of their resources. They don't have access to level 3 at the end, but it puts you in the corner. So then they could potentially just throw loop you to death for the rest of the health bar. So yeah, just thought I'd add that in there, but it's a good point.
Once they get the opponent down 50%, so the game just becomes really boring. I think
boring. Yep, that's very boring. Phone around. Yeah, it's the same old thing, repetitive. Okay, so I was the only. I thought he says more. Okay.
I want them to make drivers have a bigger hurt box.
Okay, so I was thinking to rope any system mechanic changes together, but let's let's be more specific. So drive rush, hurt box. For me personally, if I were to point out one mechanic, it is drive rush that causes absolute chaos in this game.
Once activated, so that it's more consistent to check.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not gonna happen, but I wish that all those drive rush into suppressor, scissor kick, or whatever, you know, type of moves that like
The ones that like pull your
pull you back
hurtbox
and really punish counter like checks. I think you should just remove them altogether. Like,
Okay, so I'm going to talk about this. So I agree with Phenom that that's very annoying, and it would be good if they couldn't do that. But the thing with this is it's not actually possible to do that. So let me explain. So when you do drive rush and you press a button out of drive rush, that button, your character lights up green as they do that button. That's where the plus frames come from drive rush to the button that connects with your opponent. So I think it's, don't quote me on the numbers, I think it's 18 frames, 16 frames where that's how many frames of drive rush you do, where you rush forward and then you can then press a button. So after that, you have your next few frames where your button comes out. So the cancel window on drive rush into button is quite small, but then there's an extended period that drive rush will continue before you can put something else in that doesn't have the drive rush properties. So for example, if you do drive rush into throw, when you press throw, it's not at the same time you'd cancel drive rush into button. You go a little bit further, then you do the throw, and obviously the throw doesn't have any drive rush properties. This is the same that applies to anything else like super, DI, a special move. You have this period of time where you can continue moving forward. You can't cancel drive rush by holding a direction. Even down back would stop the drive rush, but it stops the drive rush later. But then you can input a button. So this is why it's a great suggestion that Phenom is mentioning, but it's not actually possible, because once the drive rush animation ends, you obviously need to be able to input something else. You know, you need to be able to block. You need to be able to DI back if they've DI'd your drive rush, for example. And in allowing the player to do that, this is why they can do these crazy things, these crazy options. The only thing you could do is, so Phenom mentioned increasing the hurt box, which is 0.3 there. The only other thing you could do is increase the amount of time an empty drive rush lasts. But I think if they did that, it would massively nerf drive rush. So I think the key to this is the extended hurt box on drive rush. That would make the obscure options less powerful, because you'd be checking the drive rush before they get to the obscure option. So I'm not going to add that in the list, but I thought I'd go in more detail about that to explain why I don't think it's a great point, but it's not possible.
like it shouldn't even be an option. It's already hard to check drive rush without that. Like, it's already hard enough. Like, some characters, I mean, have normals that are extremely hard to stop when they drive rush from a certain range. And then when they can also do, like, cancel it into a special that leads to big damage and retracts the hurt box and all that, I think it's just too much. Like,
Agreed. It's very silly.
that's the one thing I want wrong.
Chaotic
What
drive
kind of
rush.
changes are you hoping for in the future for this game?
I think more of a hurt box on drive rush.
Okay, so our first point that's been mentioned twice. Okay.
Hurt box on drive rush.
Extended hurt box, yeah.
Something with perfect parry. We're getting a little bit closer every season, but something more. I don't know what yet, but something more. Something more to nerf perfect parry.
Okay. General points, but PP, perfect parry, nerf.
I just want to see the game revamped. I think the game is kind of stale right now.
Agreed.
Everyone is doing the same thing.
Same thing,
does.
yep.
And I feel like we do need something. I don't necessarily mean a new mechanic or anything, but
God, imagine that,
the way
another
the
mechanic to
mechanics are
worry
right now,
about.
They need to be reworked and maybe tuned into a different way, work in a different way. I'm tired of the low forward drive rush meta and
Drive rush neutral.
the drive rush, the neutral, and all of that. I feel like there needs to be some sort of a change which makes drive rush maybe a bit more riskier.
So a drive rush
Drive
nerf.
rush meta isn't that strong anymore. And I also would like to see drive bars maybe get a slower rate, like a fresh slower. So for example, if you use the crush medium kick to drive rush, you're entered into a penalty state where, I mean, I know that exists right now, but that only applies as long as you're doing the combo, right? It doesn't regain, but I want it to be extended. So if you do drive rush, medium kick drive rush into throw, I don't want the bars to start refreshing right away. I want it to stay there for a bit, so you have to think before using the dry brush, low dry brush. But yeah, I just want to see the game revamped.
I'll let him continue talking.
And maybe function in different ways, because currently the game has been the same since season 1, and I would like it to be different.
All right, cool. So I thought it was 2 points really. So it was drive rush nerf. Now I put myself in a predicament. We'll just put drive rush nerf. You could argue it's the same thing. I guess you could. But also an interesting point. Drive. What would you call it? Drive gain. So let's try drive bar gain. So I know exactly what Big Bird is talking about here. So where you get a drive rush cancel and it goes into a combo, your drive bar does not rebuild. It stays fixed until the combo is over, unless if you use Super Art 3/CA. Once that starts the animation, the bar starts going up. With SA1, SA2, the bar does not rebuild. But if you do the drive rush on block and then you do pressure, during the pressure sequence, you do regain bar. So doing something like a throw after a drive rush on block, when you're doing the throw, your bar starts to rebuild. So you should be potentially, that's a really good point. You should be locked out of rebuilding bar until your pressure sequence is over. Throw loops. Okay, so another one for throw loops.
Should be nerfed. But I think characters with no throw loop should be nerfed too, because without throw
Yeah,
loop,
because if you take them away from the characters with them, the ones without will be stronger. Indirect buff.
They'll be even more broken. That, and I want to say drive reversal, make it safe, more faster, but then dancing will be so broken. So I'm gonna think about that.
Yeah, maybe Dasman guy.
We'll put that on the list. This is gonna look really bad, but I'm gonna put another point here. I'm gonna put 0 so it actually makes sense. You know, it looks like an eyeball. I need a better whiteboard. This whiteboard sucks.
Actually, I think the game is in a great shape right now. I would like to see.
This is Cap. Should I tell you why this? Actually, let me not even tell you why this is Cap. Watch this clip.
Street Fighter 6 will be a better fighting game without the drive meter. I'm sorry, but I think SF5, at the end of the day, the end of the game also, was one of the best fighting games ever. I'm sorry, the boomer, but it is like what it is.
Absolute Cap.
I think the drive rush is still a little bit too strong right now.
Okay.
It could be toned down.
Toned
by giving it a bigger hurtbox, easier to check it, or maybe adding more time until you can press a button or something like that, or punish counter if you check it or something. I think it's
All right. Let's put that under hurtbox. So I think this is a very good point, the hurtbox, and we'll do a drive rush, just general nerf. So what Crimson mentioned there is Crimson said change the state. So when you check it, rather than it being a counter hit, make it punish counter, which I do understand why Capcom haven't done that, because if you check it, you're checking the startup, and startup, if you check startup, it's always counter hit. That's how it is universally across all the games. Punish counter only exists during the recovery. So I get what he's saying. Yeah, I understand that point, but yeah, we'll put it down as nerf.
To be toned down a little bit, yeah.
Maybe like change ways to use the drive meter, or maybe have like different loadouts with the drive meter. I think they could do something like, give Akuma 8k health, but give him like 8 drive bars.
Okay, I can definitely get behind the Akuma nerfs.
Yeah, this
I don't know if I think he's trolling a bit there. I think he just wants to Akuma nerfed.
Season 3 is coming soon.
Yeah.
What would you like to see changed about the game?
Changing. Many people say about throw loop have to delete it. You have to delete in the future, but I think if no throw loop, we have to change about puppet
yeah.
query system.
That's what I'm saying.
Puppet query is very strong in this
It'll
game.
be buffed then.
No throw loop, just defensive style is much strong, I think. So I'm not sure.
He hasn't actually said throw loops there. He's disagreeing, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, in the game system, but some character
buff
or love
nerfed
make game more great. Yes.
All right.
What kind of changes would you like to see come to the game in Season 3?
I'll say something that's very controversial, but at the same time, on top level players, I think it's not. Throw loops should be gone from the game.
Okay. And third one now, throw loops. The throw loops is definitely winning.
I think if you adjust parry, it's a make it a little bit less broken, like maybe more downtime when you do it, maybe a bigger reward, even more damage, or more
Parry
drive
nerf.
when you get thrown. I think throw loops being out of the game should be fine, or even if I throw your parry, then it's a throw loop. But if I don't, then it's not. Maybe something like that. But overall, I'm kind of tired of just like doing that.
See, that's a good suggestion, because what he's doing there is, so you're eliminating throw loops unless you get a throw against parry, and the throw against parry will put you in a throw loop situation, which is, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good suggestion, because it doesn't eliminate them from the game. It still makes parry, I guess, weaker, but they're not a prevalent part of the game outside of the parry situation. You know what I mean? They don't exist unless you use parry, which is a good point. Okay.
Over. I feel like the game
Something I need to think about more in the future.
And yeah, I think like if you do that, and if drive rush maybe interacts better with the opponent's inputs and doesn't eat them.
Does it? Oh my god! You know what? I'm going to say something that's very controversial. I only follow people on Twitter that I interact with. Obviously, I ain't never chatted to Mena before, so I don't follow people that I don't interact with. I don't follow Mena, but I am going to follow Mena after that comment. He mentioned the input eating. I feel like a lot of us are just accepting that the input eating of Drive Rush is just a normal thing. I'm literally dropping him a follow right now. Mena. So yeah, I'm glad that Men has mentioned that one, because I don't notice it as much as I did at the beginning of Street Fighter 6, but I still notice it. So in instances where somebody does something negative, punishable on block into Drive Rush, like a target combo, it's very difficult to both punish the target combo but then cover the Drive Rush. And in neutral, if it's just a random Drive Rush whilst I'm in the midst of doing something, then there's a strong chance that will eat my input, because at the time I plan to do something, they do the Drive Rush. And my brain doesn't register that, like, oh crap, Rush, what you've done is no longer going to come out because they Drive Rush. But because by the time I realise that, they punch me in the face.
I guess, like, to keep it simple, probably what most people have talked about before, Drive Rush and perfect parry being changed, Drive Rush being punish counter state if you hit them during the Drive Rush, and also having a wider hurt box to make it easier to check.
Okay, so that's, again, Drive Rush hurt. Oh, actually, Drive Rush hurt box is winning. And Drive Rush nerf. So again, similar to what Crimson said, we're talking about when you check, rather than being counter, it being punish counter, which would greatly nerf it. You'd get much more reward off checking Drive Rush.
Perfect parry, it's so many ways you can change it. A lot of people lately, I feel like, have talked about like no flash, maybe even on normals, like no freeze, no flash. No
See, now, I said that because why that would make it better is because it means every time you tap parry, you have to OS the button behind it. So you can't just do perfect parry, bang, in the corner. If the game freezes and you're like, oh, it's frozen now, I can back throw them in the corner, because you've got to commit to it. You've got to press perfect parry and tap throw behind it, and it still means you can back throw them in the corner, but you've got to do it with purpose rather than just being gifted this window of time to make umpteen decisions in that scenario. You've got to commit to a scenario, and this game loves commitment, so why not make them commit to an option outside of the parry? I don't think they'll do it because it'll completely change the way the game looks, but yeah, I suggested that. So I've just completely waffled and I've lost my train of thought. So it was perfect parry nerf, and it was, can we even fit this in? My writing is like so bad, going diagonal. Strike PP, no freeze. No freeze.
Right? I think that'd be interesting, except on special moves. Special moves, I could see it being the same, because I feel like that's where like it takes the most skill to parry, like a dragon.
Okay,
dash.
that's an interesting one. So it is literally. So it's literally strike. I put normals. So it's not an N, and that's a mess.
Oh, I forget who said that. I pretty agree with that. Like, if we Drive Rush, we cannot special move.
Okay.
Because if the opponent...
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a great point.
He should be success to stop the rush. It's not like, oh, I do a special move.
Yeah, you can't really stop it because it's not coming out of the Drive Rush, it's coming out of the it's coming out
no more
after
bicycle,
drive rush
into
ends.
scissors to-
Yeah, even though I think it's good, but there's one character could still do that if we think like that is Luke. Yeah, so I don't know, but overall, I think you could not like doing special moves on the rush. Maybe some combination would be a little bit.
Yeah, it's
bad,
too
like
difficult to
some-
do because
lost some combos,
drive rush
but
has to
for
have a
balance, I think that's better.
has to recover at some
And,
point where
so
you are
season
free to
3
do
is
whatever you want
coming
then.
For season 3, I would like more characters. I would like it, and yeah. I would
Yeah,
like
so it's
more
not really a
characters to
system
do.
change, but it's a valid point. I think the roster is definitely lacking.
You know, patch the game, and also maybe like a bigger hurtbox on the driver.
Okay, so this clearly is going to win, isn't it? Oops, that's not what you do when you tally. It's 5 for that now.
Yeah.
It would be easier to check them, you know? I think that would be kind of good. Yeah, so I have a confidence that season 3 is going to be pretty good.
Maybe I think I don't think they will nerf True Loop, but I only hope they will increase damage because for me.
So okay, that he said I don't think they will. I'm taking that as yes, kills you once he gone. Damage is probably too high.
This game damage are too high.
Okay.
So maybe increase damage a little.
Okay, so damage. So let's order these. So Drive Rush comes in first place. Can you see that? First place, Drive Rush Hurtbox. Second place is Throw Loops. I know this is horrendous, guys. Bear with me. Throw Loops number 2. Then we got, okay, so then joint third is the Drive Rush and Drive Parry nerf. So it's interesting to note there's no mention of Drive Impact, which I agree with. I don't feel like Drive Impact is the problematic mechanic. It is annoying, and not everyone can react to it. It's not possible because of the array of options that are available in the game. Just, you know, you're not looking at one thing in a fighting game, you're looking at multiple things. So it's annoying, but I don't see it as a problem. It exists, and there's ways around it. There's many ways to counter it. So Drive Impact not mentioned, but Drive Rush, Drive Parry, and the Throw Loops are what stand out. So I broke it out into 2 separate groups. I did the Drive Rush Hurtbox, I did Drive Rush Nerf. So these were not specific. They were just seeing Drive Rush being toned down, whether it be more punishable, not being able to do specials out of it, but also being able to check it a lot. So if you listen to what the professional players are saying, they don't want Drive Rush to be as strong as it is now and as prevalent as it is now in the next season. And I totally agree with them. My biggest complaint with this game is Drive Rush. Like I can play fundamentally, I can hit confirm with punish, I can anti-air, but as soon as the opponent can find no way in on me, 9 times out of 10, they will just Drive Rush. They will just go Drive Rush, Drive Rush, Drive Rush, crouching medium kick, Drive Rush, Drive Rush, Drive Rush. They throw all the bar at me, and all that ever happens is I get put in the corner, and now it's like I'm guessing for my life. Do I DP? Do I jump forward out? Do I backdash to make the throw whiff? That's literally the game. Or do I press parry at the risk of being thrown, basically? So it's chaotic, and it sounds like the professional players they share the same sentiment. The Drive Rush is just, it's so strong and it's so boring as well. It's just the same thing over and over again. Second was Throw Loops. So I think the Throw Loops is because of how, I think it's 2 things. I think aesthetically, it's not an interesting or pleasing way to watch the game. Capcom Cup 11 ended on Throw Loops, which is just hilarious to me, but it's being stuck in the corner and the threat of the throw, and it's more so, it's not even the throw, it's the fear of trying to tech the throw. The risk if you try and tech a throw in the corner as well, with punish counter, with level 3s, again, you're in the corner, so combos are generally more damage in the corner. It's super scary. So you being in a situation where you're so afraid of the throw in the corner is just not good. So I feel, again, we mentioned parry. Maybe they exist because of the parry and the strength of parry if you nerf Throw Loops. But then I feel if that were the case, every character should have Throw Loops. But like Mena said, maybe the throw loop situation only occurs if you throw a parry, causing the punish counter throw. After the punish counter throw specifically against parry, that's when it sets up the option to do another throw. So then the opponent's in a situation where it's like, okay, well, if I parry again, I'm going to be just looped over and over. So I need to do something else besides parry now. It will deter them from pressing parry so much on wake up, basically. And then perfect parry nerf, that came joint with drive rush nerf. So with the perfect parry nerf, I think the suggestion about removing the slowdown on strikes is definitely a good suggestion. I think these reactionary parries on things like, I'll pick on Ken, like medium jim right into the low. You know, you are anticipating the low. There's a reason why you're pressing it, and I feel like you should be rewarded for that with the slowdown. If Ken's doing heavy dragon lash at you and you react to it with parry, or Luke does charged heavy punch, reacting with parry there. Again, you're assessing the situation. You're choosing parry for a reason. Same with DI. If you parry a DI, it can happen randomly. All these things can be random, but I think for the most part, people do see the cancel from a normal into DI when they're in the corner, and they actually respond with parry. I think getting the freeze on DI as well is a good shout. So I generally think the things I've just discussed in the context of what the pros have said are really good suggestions. If I were to add anything else to that, I think the drive bar gain is a really good shout. That's such a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but it would make the reward on drive rush cancels less, because that's the thing. You do a drive rush cancel, but you get pressure, and during the pressure, you build your bar back. So it's not really a 3-bar spend. Make it a 3-bar spend. I still can't believe this one. The input eating is it's the most stupid thing. Like, that shouldn't be in the game. Like, if I press a button during the screen freeze, I don't even care if that means I'm going to get hit. I would rather know that I've pressed during the screen freeze, and in my mind expects myself to be hit, because it's like, oh crap, I've just pressed medium punch and I've done drive rush. Now I'm going to be counter hit because I'm going to drive rush into my medium punch. But at least make it happen as it happens when I press the buttons. This is just a me thing, but if I'm pressing something, I expect it to happen on the screen. Obviously, there's scenarios where it won't happen. Like, I'll give you an example. So in Street Fighter 5, somebody activates V-Trigger Raw. You can't press a button during that sequence because the game freezes. But the difference is they're not flying at me at 1,000,000 miles per hour, slowing time and space and the universe down where I can't really do anything. In Street Fighter 5, the game froze for the animation's sake, and then the game continues, if that makes sense. If you press the button just before that happens, the button still comes out, so you could actually hit them with the button and then cancel the special because you've committed to the button. But that doesn't work this way in Street Fighter 6, so that's insane to me. The strike perfect parry, I think that is going to look even worse now. That relates to the perfect parry nerf. So that's a way of nerfing perfect parry, so that relates to that. The damage reduction, it's a fair point. I think the damage is super high in this game. It's definitely higher than the damage in Street Fighter 5. But I've seen other fighting games. I've seen older Street Fighter games, and the damage can be pretty rough in those games as well. So, yeah, it's a fair point. Maybe certain characters need toning down, like Ryu, for example, Marissa. I know Akuma can do some crazy damage as well. So it's a valid point. And the last point, the drive reversal buff. I do think seeing it working more like V-reversal. So V-reversal in Street Fighter 5, on block, they were all -2, and they were all very fast. So it was only specific scenarios where you could do a drive reversal and the person who's doing the offense could actually recover and punish the drive reversal. It was cool to see when it happened, but it's very rare. So that one, I'm not too sure. I'm not really sure how you can implement that because of what was mentioned. Certain characters getting buffed, like, zoners would be so strong if this was buffed. So that's it, guys. That is the video. So a summary of Broski's video. If you want to see Broski's video, link in the video description to that as well for the video. You've just seen it anyway, but if you want to watch the video yourself and show Broski some love, link in the video description. But yeah, my summary of what was said and my personal conclusions based on the professional players' opinions. Let me know what you think. Am I talking absolute madness? Do you agree with the list? Is there anything else that you would like to see come in Season 3? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next one. Take care.